Okay. Hi, Michelle.
Hey.
I'm excited to dive into this episode. I normally really love Thanksgiving. I think 2020 Thanksgiving might be a little different. Um,
Yeah.
but I think it's still important to express gratitude and find some, I don't know, like I'm all about the comfort food right now. So I'm really pumped to chat about like what people's favorite dishes and traditions are for Thanksgiving.
For sure. Me too. I don't know. I've always been, I mean, I don't think that we should just give thanks on Thanksgiving. And I think that in a lot of cases we do. I try really hard and have been mindful um to be like thankful and grateful every day, even
Yeah.
though that's challenging
We do
some days.
gratitudes at dinner every night. Like we do, every person does three, and that doesn't matter. Like if you're a guest with us, you do gratitudes, and otherwise, our family does it all the time. But you're totally right. Also, I feel a little bit like an asshole because I didn't think about this till just this moment. And you guys, sometimes Michelle and I like plan out what we're going to talk about, and sometimes we just dive in. But it just occurred to me that in all the change that you've had, losing Dave, losing your mom, losing Dave's dad, Thanksgiving might look really different for you. How is that the case? And is this an insensitive question? I'm so sorry to ask that. I just want to know.
No, it's not insensitive, but no, Thanksgiving did change. Actually, Dave and I, when we were married and even before, we used to go visit his father for Thanksgiving. And then I don't know, somewhere along the way, Nutcracker in the Castle from where I used to work at the Pain, that kind of changed how we celebrated Thanksgiving because that was the day that he and I had off, and
Yeah,
so then to travel 2 hours to my family, it's kind of like we did that a couple of times, but it's really like hard when that is your only day. And then like the left, like we don't have any leftovers then. And so um we kind of got to the point where it was easier for us to, like talk to everyone on Thanksgiving, but we'll see you at Christmas and make Christmas really great. Well, then all of a sudden everything changed,
right.
and yeah, so Thanksgiving has looked a little different. My first Thanksgiving, I had shoulder surgery, and I had a doctor's appointment 2 days before I could have gone home for Thanksgiving, and the doctor said that I was on pain medication, and unfortunately, he's like, I can't authorize you to drive, and I'm not asking anyone to give up their Thanksgiving to drive me home or anything. It just became very challenging to figure out like how we make this work.
So
And
what did you do?
so I was
Did
like,
somebody adopt you or what happened?
I got adopted. Well, I kind of needed to be adopted. And so I got adopted. And I had like so many people wanted to adopt me, which made me feel very grateful and loved.
That's awesome.
So it was a great way to celebrate a first Thanksgiving when you like your world completely changed.
That's awesome.
And
I'm glad that
the
I'm
last
glad that it happened.
couple, my sisters were like, we never really realized how like you weren't really here for Thanksgiving for a long time. And so, getting back into, and then we've had to create some new um traditions with Thanksgiving just because, mom was the one that made it all happen.
Right.
And I will never forget like the first Thanksgiving without mom. My one of my sisters and I, we were like getting things ready, and like we didn't make one thing quite like mom did. We're like, we'll just keep that secret between us. And
Right.
it's just funny. And I mean, now we look at Thanksgiving, and I don't know like if we're going to be celebrating as a family or not this year. I have no idea what we're going to be doing, and I think it's still too early to figure all of that out.
I know it's well, it's interesting because so I think that there was a point growing up where like I had moved, I left New York where I'm from, moved to Michigan and followed a boy. Spoiler, that didn't work out. I found Bill there. That was great.
Right.
But I remember the first year I didn't have any money. Like I was really like it was just a tough time. My parents didn't have any cash and I couldn't make it home for the holidays. And that was kind of the beginning of the end for me. Like I just ended up like I go if I could, but then my dad died 10 years ago. And so then my mom does not cook. So that wasn't happening. And so like we either tried to like go and cook there. It just was like a lot of work because now we live in Wisconsin. That's a huge hike for Thanksgiving. And, this year is way different. So Bill and I started doing our own thing. Right after we got married, he made Thanksgiving. And I think for some reason, our best man and his wife were displaced too. And so we did Thanksgiving with just the four of us. and Bill's turkey was so good. We didn't even actually sit down and eat dinner. We all sat in the kitchen and just ate it off the carcass. Like it was
That's so
so
fun.
good.
Such a great memory.
And it was really fun. We had a good time. And so
Yeah.
then we were like, this Friendsgiving thing is kind of cool. So, like, over the years, we've actually evolved. And normally we do Friendsgiving, like, we host it because we really enjoy it. Bill makes a freaking awesome turkey. And like, if people want to bring a dish, they can. But we have a lot of friends in healthcare who end up on call, or people that like also can't travel home to see their families. And so usually we open our house up, and anybody who is available or like displaced or whatever, they can come and celebrate with us. And it's really fun because every year it's different, it's eclectic,
That's awesome.
and it's really cool. But this year, like with coronavirus, I don't think that's going to happen. Like, you might come and hang out with us because you're in our bubble. We have another friend who's in healthcare who's on call that weekend, and she can't go home because she, home for her is 3 hours away. So like, we're going to have a very small Friendsgiving, which makes me kind of sad, but like at the same time, I think it'll be okay.
Yeah. I mean, you figure it out, and it's the people that you care about that you're with, and I mean,
Right.
that's the
And
thing
for me,
for
it's
me.
all like, leftovers and the things. So,
Right.
Michelle, is there a dish that you need to have to make it Thanksgiving, or is there something specific that like you crave at that time?
Yes. So for me, the very first Thanksgiving, I was in grad school. The very first Thanksgiving that I couldn't come home for, um, we got a turkey like from the grocery store, and it was like the turkey was already cooked, so we didn't have to cook it, and then the sides. And I was so depressed about the stuffing because I didn't realize. I mean, now granted, I'm only in Indiana, but the stuffing was cornbread stuffing. And it
What?
wasn't like the bread stuffing with the sausage and all of the things that make it so yummy for me that I grew up with the taste memory of. I think now, having had some different things, I would be like, give me the cornbread stuffing. But at the time, I didn't know that. So I was really sad and depressed about the stuffing.
So do you have a
um,
stuffing? Like, that's actually my favorite. So I hated stuffing growing up. I hated the bread stuffing. My dad always made it, and he was a really great cook, but I hated his stuffing. And I feel like that was probably offensive. I just couldn't get behind it. He'd buy like the pre-chopped bread like cubes in a bag. So gross. Like, I could not handle it. So actually I started making cornbread stuffing a couple of years ago. I stole a recipe from the Neelys from the Food Network, and
yes.
I want to say maybe a Martha Stewart recipe, and I've like combined them. So I don't really have a recipe. I kind of do whatever I want. I look at both of them every year, and then I just do whatever I want with them. But
Right.
like, cornbread stuffing is my jam. I get sage sausage. I make my own cornbread. We like saute everything together. Last year, my family was actually home. My brother John lives in Maine. My other brother moved to Texas. Um, when they came out, and John made the stuffing with me, and we had such a blast, and it was awesome. Like, now cornbread stuffing is amazing, but I grew up like not eating the dressing.
Well,
And maybe because
see,
my
for
dad put it in the turkey, and like, that's just gets ends up kind of gelatinously weird and gross.
oh,
Like, I can't do it.
see, I don't know. I grew up on my grandma's stuffing recipe, and I don't know. It's been passed from my grandma to my mom, now to us girls, and like for us, and it's got the sausage and everything in it. And I think what was hard for me is the stuffing that we had that day back in like 1997. It didn't have sauce. It was just like cornbread dressing, and it just wasn't. It wasn't what I was mentally prepared for.
Right.
And
And
so
then when you can't be home and you're on your own, like, it makes it even sadder. So you need
it
all the
was.
things.
But that was my first experience with a Friendsgiving too. And so like so there was great out of it and there was like not so good too. But I mean, I always look back at that. I'm like, we did kind of make our own Thanksgiving and we made it what it needed to be. And then yeah, throughout my life, I don't know, I just have always enjoyed. I think I loved so my grandma when we were growing up, I think she always came to our house for Thanksgiving. I know some years my dad hunted, but I remember like spending a lot of time with my grandma the day before Thanksgiving and then Thanksgiving Day, helping her with all of it. And then my mom, like, because my grandma did the turkey, my grandma did the dressing, and there was something else she did. And then my mom did other things. My mom didn't really crave like anyone helping or learning in the kitchen. And so, but my grandma did. And so, like, me and grandma could just like hang out and do things. And then I always got to be in charge of setting the table really nice. So that was always my big thing. And, it's great that my mom trusted me enough, like when I was like 6 or 7, 8. to understand her like good dishes and get to set the table with them. So
I love
that
it.
was kind of always a fun memory too.
I feel like we need better Thanksgiving dishes, but then like we're just not those people that use fancy dishes. We use like Fiestaware on the daily, and it's really colorful and fun. So like
But
it
it's
doesn't bother
good.
me.
And I think that I don't know. Somehow I grew up, my grandma had china and would always talk about it. I knew my mom had china. And so it was just one of those things that I'm like, ooh, I kind of, when am I ever going to use it? Because I mean, the
I
reality
use
is
it on a Tuesday. I mean, like really, like I just feel like have a good time. Like I gave my kids chocolate milk in like cool wine glasses the other day. Um,
yeah,
Sometimes we use martini glasses, but they spill. So FYI, parenting,
why
don't
not?
recommend.
No,
Um,
we did a fun birthday recently at my house, and we bought for an 11-year-old, got the fancy like grape juice that sparkles, and
Yep, we do that
poured
every
in
year. I
wine
think it's
glasses.
necessary. Well, and for my friends who are on call, like the
Yeah,
kids and she end up like with, sparkly
yeah.
grape juice instead, and that's how that goes. Okay,
I
so
think everything tastes better in a fancy glass.
it totally does. So do you have, is there like a drink or like any special dish that like makes it for you? Or is it like, do you experiment with a new dish every year? Like, what are you thinking?
No, we don't typically, like it's always in my family anyway. Like it's turkey, this fruit
The
salad.
standard meal.
Yeah, right. Last year, I went home for the day because the weather was kind of iffy and there were a bunch of different factors going on. And my aunt came with, and so um, I went home for the day and I brought a Brussels sprout sweet potato salad, and I thought that that was going to be, and everyone loved it. And so, that to me now is like Thanksgiving salad that I might bring or whatever. But I don't know. I like to change it up a little bit. I don't know. The snacks are always the thing that I enjoy the most. I'll never forget my sisters text me with like, okay, you can bring cheese and crackers to Thanksgiving. And I'm like, okay, I'm an adult woman. I can bring more than cheese and crackers to Thanksgiving. But so I'm like, if I'm gonna be a side cheese and crackers, I'm gonna bring the biggest charcuterie
Yeah,
board possible. So I literally bought a cutting board, and I tell people like, this is not a cutting board. This is like the charcuterie board for like family Christmas and family Thanksgiving. So
I love it. Yeah, I think that's a good deal. So I'm trying to think. Usually, and I think we're going to have to make a choice this year because I don't think we're going to have that many people, but normally Bill deep fries a turkey and we use an infrared turkey fryer. So there's no oil to deal with after, and it's awesome.
mm,
And then he spatchcocks the turkey. He like cuts it down like the bone and then flattens it and puts it on the tray. Um, and I love the term spatchcocking because I think it's
yeah,
fascinating
yeah,
and hilarious. And B, it makes it for a perfect turkey. So like it cooks it really fast. It cuts down the time like crazy and it's perfect. And then if you really want to, you can like fold the bird back up for presentation, but the cooking is phenomenal. So Bill's always in charge of the turkey. Every single year I try to take a photo of him with his hand in the turkey, getting out the
right.
inside parts
Inside,
because I'm just
yeah.
very entertained by his like turkey violation annually. Makes me really happy. Um, so like that happens, and then I feel like I do the stuffing, like the cornbread action, because that's necessary, like it's a
Yeah.
tradition. But otherwise, we try to mix up with other sides, and if other people bring things, I think like last year or the year before, somebody brought. Actually, last year we didn't have Friendsgiving. We had some friends over, but my family was there, and there's a lot of us. So we had a smaller group. But 2 years ago, we had a big Friendsgiving, and somebody brought like this pasta salad thing, and I was like, oh, pasta on Thanksgiving is fascinating, and it was really
Yeah.
good and different. My mom always makes pies, and she makes kick-ass cranberry sauce. So she like takes cranberries and raisins and like boils them. I think it's actually very simple, but her cranberry sauce is awesome. My brothers used to like find it and eat it by the bowlful, and if like she made it in advance, like she had to like lay down the law so they wouldn't eat it in advance, because there's been more than 1 year that she's had to remake it because they ate it all in advance.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I make a cranberry that's more like a chutney, and I appreciate that too. It just makes a lot.
There's a certain part of me that really appreciates it coming out of a can because I love the little ridges, but like the homemade is way better.
Well, it is. I mean, it is, but I mean, it's all the taste memory that you grew up with. I mean, I grew up with cranberry sauce that came out of a can too. I didn't know any different.
Right. I mean, like I personally don't care about potatoes. So like, I mean, I like a sweet potato, but like my husband doesn't. But like traditional mashed potatoes, I mean, I think we do them because it's expected, but I don't personally care about mashed potatoes.
I don't either. I've never had good mashed potatoes until
Oh,
recently.
ours are awesome, but like I just don't feel like it's, I mean, and all the things that are calories, like I just don't think potatoes are like the thing that brings me joy. Um,
I remember doing Weight Watchers, and I was kind of like scared going into Thanksgiving on Weight Watchers in, I don't know, 2002 or three. I think it was 2002. And so our leader said, like, you don't have to feel obligated to eat everything. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting concept that you don't have to feel obligated to eat everything.
I almost feel
And
like
so
you
that,
can't, or you can't like, like put your pants on, like it's a problem.
oh, right. And so, that was when I made the choice. Like, do I like mashed potatoes more or do I like dressing more? I actually like dressing more because you don't get it as often. So I'm like, I'm not going to waste my calories on mashed potatoes, which I'm okay with, to then like trade. So it's like, which carb do I rather have?
Right.
And I think that that's kind of how I've like still carried some of that with me. It's like, well, if there's two vegetables and I don't like corn, but I like green beans, I'm going to eat the green beans and not the corn. And there's nothing wrong with
I
there's
think it's
nothing
fine
wrong with
unless you
that.
have guilt from a relative who made that dish and like you're now required to consume part of
Right.
it, or at least
Well, then you
like
take those
we do a no thank you helping in my house where like
Oh,
the kids are required to have at least a small portion,
okay.
and if they don't like it they can say no thank you, but they have to
Oh,
try it.
that's good.
Well, I mean, it seems like a good idea in theory, but it's always more painful for us. But our entire goal is to raise good humans and well-rounded people, and so we're very hopeful that the kids will like to
Right.
eat good food.
Exactly. Exactly. I think I've discovered more of what I do and don't like and how I like to prepare things, because it's not that sometimes that I don't like it. It's just that the preparation that I've had just hasn't been what I've enjoyed.
Yeah, interesting.
But
Well, we are dying to hear from everybody else. Like, I really want to know if everyone's got fascinating traditions or if you have dishes that we need to know about. Because, like, I don't know, this year I might mix it up. I might try something different, but I want like good ideas to run with. And I'd be super interested to know, like,
uh,
what people
I'll
do.
see if I can get my hands on my mom's fruit salad, because you make it with fruit in it, but it's got like a cooked cream almost that you put with. It's a really good fruit salad. I will see if my sister is willing
Is
to
it like
give
the
it to me.
church basement kind that has like marshmallows in it?
It does have marshmallows on top and
Okay.
maraschino cherries and nuts, but it's not, I don't know, it's church basement kind. I don't know. It's just a really good, like, it feels light, but it's also just a really good fruit salad.
Hmm,
And to
okay.
me, like, it really like is Thanksgiving when I have that,
I love it. I
or
love
good
it.
dressing.
Well, people, fill us in on your recipes. You can send us Pinterest things, you can send us whatever, but like we want to
Yeah.
know what you're eating and if you have amazing traditions.
Yeah.
We got to
Because
find
that's
some.
what makes, I mean, that's what makes the holidays, right? And that's what makes people want to get excited about doing them, is like the tradition that happens in all of it.
Right. And this year might be a little bit different for everybody. I don't know if we can get together with all the people that we want to get together with or have a similar experience. So I think we've got to find a way to make it as awesome as we can in the
Exactly.
circumstances that we are dealt. So,
And still incorporate some of those traditional things, even though they might be a smaller group of people.
right. Totally.
Yeah, totally.
Awesome. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you guys.
Thank
Bye.
you.